Thank you, Jamie. Of course, you left out the most attractive of my bio, which is I was a member of the All England Lawn Tennis Writers Association covering Wimbledon when Borg played McEnroe twice. In terms of AMR, that's actually rather daunting and challenging, because when I listen to it, the numbers are impressive, mind-boggling. I, as a German speaker, I never quite get the difference between the trillions and the billions, to be honest, and it doesn't matter that much, because when I look at Mark Pearson, the problem with AMR is it doesn't have a face. It is a silent potential killer. When you're bitten by a snake in the desert, as happened recently, and you need several antibiotics until you find one which works, that's a story which impresses. Or when you have the CEO of Barda, who apparently, cut himself in the garden recently and suffered the same problem, maybe we should have a few more politicians who undergo this kind of accident, because it can hit every one of us. Because the problem is, and when you look in terms of progress or lack of it, I went into my electronic archives, looked at the Priority Medicines for Europe and the World report from 2004, which was revisited in 2013. Guess what was top of the list of priority research? Antibiotics. And number 2, pandemic influenza. Now, in terms of pandemic influenza, we are now much better off than 2009, because we now have, for instance, the pandemic influenza preparedness program. The problem, and Joanna mentioned it, which was summarized by Larry Summers this morning, standby medicines don't bring you money. They don't offer you a return of investment. Now, I've heard Jim O'Neill say last year at the October meeting, the call to action, for God's sake, industry, finally get your act together, invest in research, because there's unanimity. Everybody wants market entry rewards. Problem is, I haven't seen anybody in Quebec a few days ago, nor in Germany last year, falling over themselves to sign billion-dollar checks. And when you look into the numbers and our AMR Industry Alliance in the progress report, we came up with something which, honestly, when I use it, even among industry folks, it surprises. 2016, the private sector invested almost 4 times as much in AMR research as all governments together. And I very much welcome the German government R&D Hub for Berlin initiative, but 500 million euros spent over 10 years don't bring you one new antibiotic. I think it's great what Carbex and BARDA are doing here, the IMI initiative in Europe, but the $2 billion conservative estimate, which the private sector spent, will not bring you the needed antibiotics either. Therefore, the problem is, if since 2004 nothing has changed in terms of the priority list, we really urgently need to get our act together. I don't expect much from G20 in Cordoba this year. Argentina has other problems right now. I do hope that the Japanese put it on the agenda, but I'm deeply concerned that it is extremely difficult to keep something on the agenda of G7 or G20 for more than 2 years. And we already had it for about 2 years. Therefore, I think we can't haggle about exactly what's the best incentive. I personally don't believe that there's a one-size-fits-all. I believe that push incentives can be impactful upfront, but they will not bring you the development which you need, because the research is high risk. In regulatory and scientific terms, it's even more challenging than others. And the notion that the industry, which does do it in terms of meeting public health needs, actually the most progress we made, and Ramanan, I think, knows that, in our AMR Industry Alliance, was the work of our manufacturing subgroup in terms of looking at manufacturing discharge into the environment. Extremely important, but we really need to make progress in terms of what kind of incentives can we get. I desperately look at the US for taking the lead, as it so often has done. I'm absolutely supportive of market entry rewards, but I don't see the billion-dollar checks signed yet. I personally think that reimbursement reform might do something, but there I'm a realist like Larry Summers. The mind-boggling numbers, I can't see us getting numbers similar to CART in terms of, it's only about $470,000 per treatment. Therefore, I do believe that one also needs to look into other matters. I was intrigued that Joanna didn't mention transferable exclusivity extension. Politically more challenging, but also one of the options. From an industry point of view, open-minded, but we really need to move from talk to action, and we need allies, because the industry on its own will survive if we don't get the new antibiotics. We have plenty of other opportunities, but society needs it. Thank you.